Alright everyone, so this is going to be my re-upload of this video because my last one, apparently my speakers were too loud and the video played, well, not the video itself, the in-game music played too loud, so you weren't really able to hear my voice. But regardless, here I go with my tier list once more. So the elements of stone, flame, shock, liquid, and air, I'm all going to put into, well, let's see here. So if we look at elements, we can see that I have gale and cement here, but I also have lightning. So based off of my experience with all 5 of these elements, I'm going to place them all at D rank. Though shock, I'm going to place at C rank because Kieran is actually decent. Steam, nobody really cares about it, so there's no point to go over it. Joke, I'd place at C rank. Mainly just because of its chakra stealing, or chakra negation, whatever you want to call it. Crystal, nobody uses it, and if they do, they're probably a newbie, so there's no real point in putting that there onto the tier list. So I'm gonna put that in D rank as well, maybe even F, not sure yet. Atomic, I'm gonna put it in D rank. It has decent stuns, but everything else about it sucks. Explosion is not very good. Gold sand, let's see. Gold sand is actually good if you can manage to combo it, so I'm gonna put it in C rank. Now you may be asking, why am I putting gold sand in C rank? Mainly because the sand tsunami is decent range and it has a good stun to it. So gold sand in general has decent stuns to it, so that is why I'm putting it in C rank. Ice is not very good. I mean, you could argue that it has decent range, but even then, it's such an old bloodline that even if they revamped it, it wouldn't really matter. And they technically already did a revamp to it with Glacier, so I'm going to put Ice in F. Apollo Sand, also known as Iron Sand. Let's see here. So, I actually used to run this as my main until I got some decently good bloodlines. From my experience with it, its damage isn't very good anymore. It has decent stuns, but its range is very small. At least in comparison to some of the other bloodlines we have now. Lava. Honestly, no matter how you put it, there's no really effective way that you could use this. At least in PvP. So I'm going to put it in D rank. Mud, F rank. I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory. Sand, it's pretty much golden sand. So I'm gonna put it in C rank. Scorch, you know, honestly, in every single Naruto game I've been in, Scorch has never been good, and that includes this one. So I'm going to put this in D rank. Akuma. I won't lie, I have a personal love for the Sharingan. And even though it's been revamped, it's just so old on here that it can't really keep up with a lot of the other bloodlines in the game. So the only thing that's really keeping it afloat here is its perfect Susanoo, which even then isn't really that good. So I'm gonna classify it as a C rank. Well, C tier, but C rank, same thing. Storm. I've not really used it all that much, but assuming how old it is, I'm gonna say it's probably a D rank. Because From my personal experience with it, even though I don't have it maxed, it seems as though its damage isn't very good. I think the only thing that's really keeping it afloat at all in this tier list is its range. Nature. Literally garbage. D rank, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of self-explanatory, assuming it's literally just a way weaker version of Shizen. Also, it has like no range or damage, so its viability is pretty much not there at all. Okay. Garbage all around. And if you're someone that actually plays this game, you could probably see why. Kimimari's bloodline. Let's see. Its viability is there, but in terms of damage, it's definitely not there. Its range, at least personally, I think is meh at best. So I'm gonna put it in C rank. Senko, I'm going to put it in C rank, but that time stop is decent. One thing that I really like about Senko is the fact that it goes in the top slot and not the bottom slot. So that's great. Uzumaki. You know, honestly, people slack on Uzumaki because it could take a lot of the other opponent's chakra in PvP. So if you're actually really good at comboing Uzumaki, you could pretty much just like take all of their chakra during the fight if you use it enough. So that's what can make it decent. Especially since it goes in the top slot, you could pair it with the Jokeis and stuff like that. So that will be really good. Minakaze, you know, honestly, who likes Kankuro? On top of that, like, whenever you consider that it's just puppets, it has no range as far as I could tell. At least in comparison to a lot of the newer bloodlines. And then it's so old that the damage is just not there. Kaijin. As I will always say, the Ash Breath move on it is so broken. It does a ton of damage. It does like 8k per hit, which doesn't sound like much, but you consider the fact that it does like 20 to 30 hits, that adds up. So that's why I say that Kaijin, in my opinion, deserves to be in B rank. Mainly, oh yeah, it also stuns and stuff, so that's there too. Shadow, aka Shikamaru. Garbage, garbage, and more garbage. As far as I could tell, there's pretty much nothing that could redeem Shikamaru's bloodline here. Even if you consider the fact of his stun, there are bloodlines and even elements that have longer stuns than this bloodline does. Bankai Akuma, aka Itachi. The perfect Susanoo on it is really MD draining. But that kind of makes sense, assuming Itachi was like sick during the series. But technically he shouldn't have a perfect Susanoo, so... But regardless, its counter and its moves are very effective. And the fact that he could drain, and the fact that this bloodline can drain your MD by like 4k whenever it hits with the block C is pretty ridiculous. Karada, let's see. The whole gimmick about Choji is the fact that, like, he's really fat and he could spin up in a ball. But whenever it comes to that in this game, the only thing that Karada has going for it is really just range. And even then, it's not very great at that. So, overall, I'd put Karada in C. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to Navy Tachi's rank, so I'm gonna put that in B rank, maybe even A. Raiken Shizen is the same as Shizen, just recolored. So I'm going to put Raiken Shizen and Shizen, let's see here, in B rank. The reason for that is the fact that it has a lot of range and it could pin down the opponent with those wood pillars. But Deep Forest Emergence can be really glitchy. And then, if I recall, the second move was like never useful, even for PvP or PvE. Golden Joke. You know, personally, I really like Golden Joke on here, but I'm going to put it in B rank because it could do the chakra negation or the chakra points, whatever the frick you want to call it. But there's also the fact that it doesn't really have much range, but it's really good for close. It's really good for close encounters. So for people who like fighting like really close range, or Golden Joke might be good for them. Shiver Akuma. How to put this? I don't really like Shiver Akuma all that much. I think it's a cool bloodline, but its versatility could be decent. If I recall, it has a perfect Susanoo, but I don't have it. So maybe I'm just underestimating it a bit, but I'm gonna put it in C rank. In my opinion, it's not very great. Ashen Storm, I don't have it at the moment. But, there's the fact. I mean, it has a transformation, which is good for it. But otherwise, its moves are somewhat close range. But if I recall, its damage is actually pretty good. So, I'm gonna put it in like low B. I'm going to put in low B rank. So that's gonna be that. Dio Senko. Dio Senko itself isn't very great, but the time stop it has is amazing for combos. For this reason, Dio Senko itself is going to be in C rank, but the time stop move I'm going to put in B rank. Maybe even A, because it's really good for combos. Rayon Akuma, or Rayon, however you want to pronounce it. Let's see here. Its range was really good. In fact, actually, I'd still say it is pretty good range still. Its damage, it was and still is lacking compared to what I thought it would be, because most of the Akumas in the game have really high amounts of damage, but Rayon is kind of lacking in that department. Especially considering it's Sasuke's Akuma, I really thought it would have been a little bit better than it was. Although it does have a perfect Susanoo, so it has that going for it. Satoru Akuma. Ooh boy, this thing rolled over the game for a good while whenever it came out. So I'm gonna put it in A rank. Its last move does like 200k damage, which is ridiculous. And it has a lot of range and massive AoE. Satoru Akuma itself, otherwise, is decent. Its Susanoo has a lot of range. It has a perfect Susanoo, which has a ton of range. It's ridiculous. So yeah. So Sengoku, I don't have it. My friends have it. It's pretty good. I'm gonna put it in A rank. I think anyone that plays this game would understand why. Part of the reason is because of that giant meteor it could call down. Like, it's like the size of Madara's meteor, which is ridiculous. So it could hit like this entire log area here. in just like the single meter, which is pretty decent for PvP. Goku, or the Tenseigan. I really like Toneri, but whenever it comes to this game, Goku isn't very good. The laser can fire, does decent damage, and it has some range to it. Those like white orbs it has whenever it fires is pretty cool. They have quite some range to them, so that could be quite efficient. Its damage now is pretty lacking, but whenever it came out, it was kind of broken. Rengoku. No matter how you put it, the Renegon is kind of decent for combos in this game if you know how to use it, because of the King of H that you could summon. And then, like, you could just yank them out of it right after the King of H is done with them. So that's like a 40,000 health combo. And then you could just do, like, whatever afterwards. So, Rengoku's decent. I'm gonna put it in C rank, mainly because it needs some buffs to it. Wanizame. Oh yeah, I just remembered his name. Kisame's bloodline. Yeah, just for the record, I didn't remember his name in the last time, so that was my bad. Kisame's bloodline overall in this game is not very good. No matter how you put it, it doesn't really have much combo potential. Its range is pretty short, and its damage is 100% lacking. The only thing it really has going for it is the fact that it has a form, and even then it's not very great. You could argue the same thing about Nectar, but Nectar has a much bigger AoE to it. And plus it's like a hornet, so that could freak me and other people out. So it's meh. So yeah, I'm gonna place Nectar and... Well, I'm gonna place Nectar in B rank, surprisingly. Like low B rank, not like high B rank or anything. And I'm gonna place Kisame's bloodline into like C rank, because it's not very good. We already went over Shizen with Raiken Shizen. Okami, which is Kibo's bloodline. I mean, if you want to be like really annoying and keep people still, like for other players, like whenever you're in a squad, this is the kind of thing that you want to use. Otherwise, it's not really good. Glacier, otherwise known as Haku's bloodline. No matter how you look at it, for as much as I love Haku in the anime, this bloodline is just so old, it's not very good anymore. Like, the ice mirrors don't do much damage, maybe 20k total, which even whenever it came out wasn't that good. So, I mean, the best thing you could really argue for it is the fact that the ice mirrors can keep the opponent like still and stunned. But even then, there's so many other bloodlines now that could do that way easier than this bloodline could. So I'm gonna put Glacier in C rank, and that's being pretty generous. Honestly, I should probably put it in D rank. Black Shock. A decent bloodline. Not really anything too particular about it that makes it like any good. It has a transformation to it, just like Glacier does. And actually, Okami has a transformation to it, but nobody really cares about that. So Black Shock's transformation looks really cool, because Darui is Darui. But its damage is meh, and its range, it really doesn't have much range at all. Daedra, aka Clay. I'm really disappointed at this bloodline, because considering it's Clay, well, Daedra, and the explosions in the anime are like massive in comparison to this game. No, I understand that for like balancing purposes, but like I feel like they could have made the explosion quite a bit bigger on Clay's moves, considering the fact that it's Daedra. So I'm gonna put Clay in C rank. If I remember correctly, I think it does have the D2 Dragon, which is a nice little AI in this game. But otherwise, there's no real point to Clay. Eternal. This is a PvP bloodline, in my opinion. It has a nice counter to it. But, its damage isn't as bad as I thought it would be, considering how old it is. But otherwise, there's no real point to this bloodline, so yeah, Hidan's bloodline here I'm going to place as a C rank. Conan's bloodline, paper. Let's see. I'm gonna place it as low B rank, mainly because of the block C damage. It's like 50k, which is ridiculous. Plus, not to mention, it also has the ability to fly for a short period of time, which can get out of some moves in this game. But it's very slow. So, but I think that's more of the game's part, because most flying in this game is pretty slow. So, yeah. Bolt. Good for stuns and pretty much nothing else. In my opinion, C rank. Bubble. Lots of range, lots of stun, and some damage. Overall, a pretty decent bloodline. I give it mid B rank. Sound. I'm gonna give this thing high C rank. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little prejudiced against it. I've never really liked sound, particularly in the anime. Its range is decent, and that's about the only thing going for it. I was very disappointed that it doesn't have any sort of transformation to it, like how Daru's arm had the gauntlet thing that produced the sound. I really thought it would have something like that. Also, I probably pronounced his name wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. Like tuning exams. Yeah, I really thought it would have a transformation, kind of like that arm gauntlet thing. But it doesn't, which is really annoying. Azim Senko. It goes on the bottom slot. So I was a little disappointed about that. Because you can't really Senko spam then, but it kind of makes sense. It's not a bad bloodline. It has aged a little bit, though. Its damage is still pretty good. Its range is decent. I wouldn't really call it bad or good in any sort of way. So, I'm gonna place it in high B rank. Shindo's bloodline. It's really annoying to fight against, and it doesn't really have much else going for it for that. Its transformation is meh, but the bugs have more range than I thought they would. So, I'm going to place it as a low B rank. Shiver. Literally just a stronger lightning. With less stun, actually. So, I'm going to place this as high D rank. Sabaru, otherwise known as weak Kakashi. The only thing it has going for it is its counter. Kenichi, otherwise known as Rock Lee. If you pair it with the 8 Gates sub-ability, which is the Demon Gate Spirit right here, and you have it all the way up to level 800, you could pretend to be like Lee or Mike Guy, which is pretty cool. Its damage, if I remember correctly, was really good. The Drunken Fist on it is so broken because it's an auto dodge and it doesn't take too much MD. You could yank your opponent in, you could hit them away and then blast them. There's a lot of things that you could do with Kenichi. A lot of viability, its damage is pretty good, and its range is meh. So I'm gonna place it as a low A rank, at least from my experience with it. Dongon. I really thought it was gonna be better, honestly, considering the fact that like you could shoot water out of your hands and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. Its damage is garbage. The only thing it really has going for it is the fact that it has pretty good range. So, and if I remember correctly, it does have a transformation, which is cool. Oh yeah, Kenichi can make you go pretty fast, so that's another plus to it. Combustion. It has a lot more range and a lot more damage than the fire does, so I'm gonna place this in high C rank. Now you may be wondering, why is it high C rank? You know, this thing could do like 40 to 50k in a single move. Like that's pretty good for an element. So I'm gonna place that in high C rank. Riser Akuma. Shout out to Riser, by the way. But I like the Akuma. If I remember correctly, it has a counter, so that has that going for it. I also really like the fact that it's black for some reason, so that's cool. Its damage is pretty good from what I've heard, but I don't really use Riser Akuma myself. And its range is decent. So I'm gonna give it an overall rank of mid B. Like mid B rank. Yin and Yang. I'm gonna give these two high A. Because from my experience with both of them, I have alt accounts by the way. They both do really high damage. And although a lot of their moves are close ranged, they can have some really far ranged options. So overall, Yin and Yang's versatility is really high, their damage is pretty good, and their range is also pretty good. So I'm going to give both of them high A rank. Acid. This is one I haven't had at all, along with Ashen Storm. So I do see people use it quite frequently though. And basing on what I've seen, it seems to have decent stuns to it. So I'm going to give it high C rank. And that's being pretty generous, assuming the fact that I can't test it out for myself. Renshiki. No matter how you look at Renshiki, there's not really much that you could argue that it's not really broken. That big move where it fires like a green orb is broken. Like really broken. Does stupid amounts of damage and it knocks it back or whatever. It could absorb jutsus and chakra for like over 5 seconds, which is ridiculous in PvP. And its transformation looks really cool. So I'm gonna give it mid to high A rank. Cement. Honestly, if you know what you're doing with it, it could be really good. And the Cement Dragon does like 40k, which is really good for an element. So I'm gonna give it high C rank. Shindai, aka Mutter. If you're anyone that actually plays Shindo, you could probably understand why I'm going to list it as this. S rank. So the reason I'm listing it as S rank is because its damage is pretty ridiculous. It could summon clones that could use perfect Susanoo along with yourself. Like, and I'm talking like quite a few clones too, not just like 1 or 2. It's like 8 or something. And then also, it has perfect Susanoo, so there's that, which is, it has a lot of range, a lot of damage, and a lot of versatility. Also has a really good stun that like, it's like a genjutsu that makes your opponent act like they fly in the air and you could just beat the crap out of them while they're just standing there. So, I mean, this would be like one of the moments where I would like implant the freaking "he's just standing there" meme or whatever, but unfortunately I don't have that on a file or anything. Gale. It's literally just stronger wind with some electricity. I actually debate that the normal wind is almost stronger than this one is. So, I'm gonna give this high F rank. Like, Gale is pretty bad, in my opinion. Seishin, which is Ino's, but I just like to call it Senball and Sakura, aka Bleach reference. Really good for role-playing, not really good for anything else. Frost. I was super disappointed with this bloodline. Not much damage, not much stun, and not much range. There's pretty much nothing going for this bloodline other than decently quick cooldowns. And even then, I don't think they're that quick anyway. Mecha Spirit. Takes a lot of MD, but it looks cool. All I'm going to say is that they really need to turn down the sound on Mecha Spirit, because its moves are really loud. Like, really loud. Ink. People are arguing that this is one of the best stunning bloodlines in the game, because the stuns are pretty long, and it slows people down. In my opinion, though, I'd put it as, like, mid-B rank. Its damage is decent, but its range is pretty good. Inferno. I really wish I had a transformation, but there's not much that they could do about that. So, otherwise, it's pretty much just a really close range bloodline. Looks kind of cool, though, because it's like the Amaterasu. So if you're going for a Sasuke build, you might want to consider running that. Vine. Pretty much the only reason you should use this is if you want to look like Black Zetsu. Or if you want to use that, like, double Vine clone thing, because they move at, like, supersonic speeds. It's ridiculous how fast those things move. Otherwise, Vine isn't really that great. Raion Rengoku. For anyone that actually has it, unfortunately I don't have it, but I think they should, I think anyone that plays this game should understand. Raion Rengoku, I'm going to place as either high A or low S, because anything that has Rengoku and Ray on it, well, anything that pretty much has Rayon in it is, like, broken on Shindo. And as far as I could tell, its damage is ridiculous. Although it has a smaller range than a lot of other bloodlines, its damage makes up for it. Prism style, obviously, just like with Raion Rengoku and some other bloodlines I've mentioned, I don't have. But from what I've heard, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna put it as mid-B. Odin Saburo. How to place this? I'd say it's pretty much Kakashi's. Yeah, it has a nice, like, counter to it, but otherwise I wouldn't really consider it that good. The transformation on it can pull your opponent under the ground, though, so that's kind of cool. Also, the transformation looks, like, really cool on it, if I remember correctly. You have, like, white sparks coming off you, which is cool. And you have a really cool looking eye with it. Light Jokai. Just kind of with Golden Jokai. This has, this is kind of like Golden Jokai, but it has a lot more range. And it has, like, spear moves, like so consider Neji's palm rotation, and then, like, just spamming the crap out of it on your opponent. And that's pretty much what Light Jokai is. So, overall, I'm gonna put it in low A rank. It's pretty good. Has decent range, his damage could be better, but it is what it is. His versatility is pretty decent. Dark Jokai is just a reskin of Light Jokai. Pikasenko. For as much as I like One Piece, I really thought that Pikasenko would be better. There's not a lot going for it. The block C on it is really good. whenever you're like transformed or whatever. And his moves can get you across the map really quickly. Other than that, there's not really much going for it. Cobra. Let's just point out two overpowered things with it. Poison does a ridiculous amount of damage over time. And the fact that whenever you die while you have the transformation activated, or like get KO'd while the transformation is activated, you get reanimated with like 30 to 50% HP, which is kind of broken. If you're a high level at least. Cockatoo's bloodline. They're that or hair. Its range is pretty ridiculous. This thing could like snipe all the way across the Leaf Village. Like from here all the way over to like that lamppost over there by where my cursor is. Yeah, where that boss mission just appeared. So it has pretty good range. I actually used to main it for a while. Its damage could be better though. Kabu Cobra is literally just a reskin of Cobra, so I bet you can see where that is. Jotaro Shizen. If you really like JoJo, you should probably run it. It's nothing like the normal Shizen, as far as I could tell. With the exception of the second move being pretty similar. It's really good at spamming though, so if you're like a person that likes to use a spam bloodline, this might be one for you. Then again, you can't get it anymore, so too bad. So, as far as I could tell, Jotaro Shizen, I'm just going to place it at like mid A rank. Seems pretty good. So, Chaos, in my personal opinion, is pretty broken. Lots of range, lots of damage, pretty much nothing really wrong with it. Overall, I'd say Chaos is probably a low A rank. It's a pretty good element in my opinion. So, Emerald, really disappointed. I thought it would be better. I'm gonna give it a high C rank just because this versatility could be good for PvP. Diva Rengoku, I would totally have it right now if the bosses weren't currently broken. So, yeah, that's that. Diva Sengoku. For anyone that has played this game, for anyone that has actually like seen Diva Sengoku inside of this game, I'm pretty sure they'll understand why I'm going to place this as it is. I'm going to place this as an S rank. Stupid amounts of damage, decent range, and a lot of high ability. If I'm not mistaken, it has Almighty Push, which in itself is broken in this game, because it could like negate out some ninjutsu. So that's cool. Typhoon, I'm going to put it in high C rank only because it takes way too much chakra. Otherwise, I'd place it as a mid B rank as it has good damage and range. Order, as far as I could tell, is the same as Chaos. So if you go back in the video and see where I placed Chaos, it would be the same. Ghost Kuroshi. Good for getting around the map and role playing. Otherwise, not really too great in my opinion. Xenodoke, pretty decent. My friend has it. Seems pretty good. So I'm going to place it as a mid B rank. If I had it myself, I would be able to give you a little bit more of a detailed analysis about it. Narumaki. Honestly, I love Narumaki in this game, but its range could, well, actually no, its range is pretty good. Its viability could be used a little bit better. But its damage is crazy if you combo the moves right. Like, it could do all the way up to like 300k damage. Because I was doing tests earlier and it's pretty ridiculous. Variety Mud, literally, well, I want to say it's the exact same as Mud, but pretty much there's, I don't really like it. I'm going to put it as low C rank, at best. Giovanni Shizen. It's kind of the same thing as Jotaro Shizen. So, it's a lot better at spamming, though, in my opinion. At least with the block C. Young Narumaki. Literally just a recolor of Narumaki. Renshiki Gold, literally just a reskin of Renshiki. As far as I could tell, Inferno Koroshi is just a reskin of the Koroshi. Forged Rengoku and Forged Sengoku. For anyone that has played this game, they would understand. High S rank. These might be two of the best bloodlines in the entire game. Their damage is ridiculous, their range is decent, and their viability just might be the highest in the game, with maybe the exception of the newly added Minakaze. Blood, Tsunami, and Smoke, also Rayon Sengoku, I don't have. I've heard good things about Blood, so I'm going to place it at high B. Tsunami and Smoke, I haven't really seen or heard anything about, so for the time being, they're just going to be at, like, low B rank, and that's giving them a lot of hope. Rayon Sengoku. For anyone that has played the game, just like before, I think you could tell why I'm placing this in S rank. Stupidly broken damage, lots of spam, and lots of range. Boromaki is one I'm still currently aiming for, but as far as I can tell, it's really, really good. I'm going to give it a high A rank. Boromaki Gold is just a reskin. Kamiki, I place it at a low A rank. I can teleport and stuff, which is pretty OP. And it has good damage and stuff, so I'm going to place it at a low A rank for those reasons. Kamiki the Amethyst is just a reskin. Sarachiya Akuma, I've heard good things about it, so to be nice, I'm going to place it at a low B rank. But as I said, since I don't have it, I can't do a detailed analysis about it. Sarachiya Gold, just a reskin of Sarachiya. And Minakaze. Man, how to place Minakaze? Minakaze is pretty ridiculous. I'd say it has maybe the highest combo potential in the entire game. Minakaze's moveset is pretty ridiculous. It could teleport. So, I'd place Minakaze in high A rank, maybe even low S rank. Its damage is pretty good. It has a very spammy moveset. So, Minakaze can teleport with the V move here. You could just teleport to it. It has a very low cooldown. The second move, you do like a few teleports and then you do like quite a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage. Then you like follow up with the teleport thing. Very good for PvP. And then the last move, my favorite one with Minakaze, you teleport around a lot and do a ton of damage. Roughly 50 to 60k. With the final move doing 25k. You have a transformation, block C, and it doesn't time stop. Which if you have Dio Senko or just normal Senko, you could combo it with time stop. It also has a counter, which is the Q move, by the way, but I can't really show that off here. So I'm going to end the video here, and thank you for staying with me. This is Chill with Ethan. I'm out. Peace.